I'm going to show you how to make the Quilts for a Cause quilt. Here I am just preparing my background fabric. You'll actually see me use two different background fabrics in the making of this project because I did it twice, once for the Quilts for a Cause for the Armed Services of the USA, and once for a private commission based on that quilt. So here you'll just want to square up your quilt fabric and cut the size of the backgrounds. I usually do this in a batch, and that's what I'm working on here. I will have a pattern available for this in the future, and I will be sure to come back and link it below. Here we're going to make the Sawtooth star blocks. This is a classic quilt block, and you will want to use the background fabric and pin the star points across the background fabric in a diagonal. You can see there are diagonal lines drawn on the smaller 3-inch blocks here, and that's what I'm lining up because I'm going to sew down either side of those lines and then split the blocks in half. So here we have sewn down either side of those diagonal lines. We're ready to pull our tacking pins out, and then I will trim right down the center of that line, leaving a 1/4 inch of seam allowance on either side. And this will help us create the first set of points for our Sawtooth star blocks. And just trimming. And then once you press them opened, you'll line up the other block with the diagonal line facing through the seam. And again, you want to sew down either side of that diagonal line, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're going to pop the pins out of that one and cut those apart as well. And then this time when we press, you'll see that we have little triangles. And these are the flying geese that will make all of the points of our Sawtooth star block. And then you want to take them over to the cutting table and trim them out. So here we're just trimming around the edge. You want to make sure to leave a 1/4 inch seam allowance there and clean up your space. You'll create a lot of little snips. And then we're going to arrange the Sawtooth star block with the points that we have created and the little squares that will go in the corner. And this will create our star blocks. And we'll do this 32 times to create the amount of blocks that we need for our quilt. And you can just piece them in a chain piecing fashion. If you keep them together, it makes it really simple. And then you'll go ahead and press and connect all of those rows until you have your block. I like to press seams open. I think that reduces bulk. Now we're going to trim up the pieces for the strap blocks, and you'll just do this in the same fashion that you would anything else. And I like to layer and cut multiple layers at a time. I like to chain these pieces, chain piece them together, and we're just going to go up and down and then press them all open. Here I have used the 4.5 inch squares cut in half to create diagonal triangles, which I'm setting the straps into, and just kind of line them up in the center and piece on either side. Here we've laid the diagonal pieces on either side and kind of lining them up. Your straps will stick out the edge. And again, I'm just pressing all of those. I like to press my seams opened, and there are your strap blocks. Now we're going to trim those up. I use the 45-degree angle on my block and make sure that I have plenty of allowance around the outside, and I'm trimming everything to 4.5 inches square. And you just trim, 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 and there you go. All squared up, and we're going to lay those out in our strap arrangement. So you want to point the corners inward. And again, chain paste. I lay all of my blocks out and arrange them, and then I flip them on top of each other and get ready to sew. Keep piecing and pressing. Just work through sewing rows together. Wishing I worked this fast in real life. And I just have one final seam to connect to complete the top. Thank you so much for watching today. Consider liking and subscribing to see more videos in the future. Thank you.